Oh, we're live. Okay. I didn't do the intro.
Huh.
Well,
Welcome
nonetheless,
back.
welcome back to the Military Retirement Podcast. Awesome. Well, how's everything going, John?
Good, man. I did not realize, and I apologize to everybody if we're a few minutes late today. That's mainly my fault. I did not realize that there was a time shift today here in Europe, at least. That's what I'm tracking. Vic sent me a message. He's like, I'll be on in 2 minutes. I'm like, we got an hour. He's like, nope.
No, dude, also
not
my
today,
fault
brother.
because I ran out. I ran out to go get some breakfast stuff. I was like, "Shit, am I gonna make it?" I timed it completely wrong, but it is what it is. You know, the family's got to eat too. So
Yeah,
we
that's right.
we're here now. We're here.
It's all
So
part
yeah,
of
man, how's
being
the
alive.
week been going?
It's been a little crazy. So like the last 2 weeks prior to this week, my son was here. It was really cool. Get to hang out with him. I haven't seen him in a while. He lives in Germany. So anytime my kids from Germany can come down and visit is always a good time. It's also a little hectic because you have to kind of rearrange schedules and rearrange, cars and transportation and all that stuff. And so trying to do that. Finished up our house stuff, so we finally signed for our house, so we're good there. And he was here
Congratulations,
for all
dude.
that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, thanks. It was a long journey. It was months and months and months of planning and a lot of coordination, and it's not as easy as in the States, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So
That's right.
and then and then my wife got really, really sick this week, so I've been kind of taking care of her in between, going back and forth to the office and doing that stuff. So it's been busy, but nothing super overwhelming. Nothing where I can't just. I've recognized that there's a time to take a break and take it slow and to stop pushing yourself to do the things that maybe are not so important, so that you can actually take care of the important things.
Oh yeah, 100%, man, 100%.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you can't like shake once you come off of active duty service and you're still in uniform. I recognize it a lot more now when I see it in myself, and then reflecting on some of the uniformed service members that I am in contact with is they're just hard charged. They want to go. And once you get past the uniform, it's time to like maybe take a step back and slow down and figure out what's actually really important. And I know you've probably experienced a ton of that as well in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, I definitely have, man. I definitely have. I recently joined in. It was actually yesterday, day before yesterday, whenever. Yeah, Saturday, right? Saturday morning, I joined in on this Veterans Coffee Connection. This retired master sergeant that I know of, he runs this coffee connection online with several veterans. And it's cool. It's like 12 folks that show up, and that's something I think we were talking about doing here on the podcast or on the Green Log. We're going to, just kind of stream it everywhere just to get folks together, like kind of a in the blocks, like live, how we are right now, just everybody kind of together sharing their stories and stuff like that. But there's always some great questions that go on around there. And I've got like a full page of just feedback and stuff, man. It's so good. It's so good. It's like we went over things like, what did you miss from your service? What habits have you acquired since you've left service? For me, it was, finding a way, like being dedicated and finding a way to overcome things when I can't figure them out. Like we've always talked about in the military, everything's kind of like that cush little bubble where everything's like provided for you. But what happens when it's not provided for you? You got to go out and Google that thing and figure it out, right? But just shout out to Pedro from, well, I'm not putting out his last name, but Pedro from Veteran Coffee Connection. He definitely runs a good group there, and I join in on Saturday mornings. If you want to connect with that, I'll put you in contact with him through LinkedIn. So connect with me on LinkedIn or shoot me an email at info@Military Retirement Podcast or thegreenlogbook@gmail.com. And we could talk a little bit more about that because it definitely is a good group. Definitely is. And I'm seeing a lot more people show up on those things, which means that, especially active duty service members who are getting ready to get out, which means that people are trying to get informed on life after the uniform.
Yeah, I still haven't made it there to the gathering yet. I've got a I got to sit down with you and get the information and see if I can
Yeah, man. Anytime.
marry up the times. That'd be good.
Anytime. But yeah, man, it's been good. It's been good. The week's been good to me. One of my neighbors had a big old party yesterday. They brought out the pig. It was a big Vietnamese party, and they brought out the whole roast pig. So I'm just kind of like taking off the pig side and the ribs and all that. Man, it was so good, dude. I'm not even hungry right now. That's how good it was. I can go until lunch maybe. But yeah, life is good, man, if you make it good. We got Mark White. Oh, we got a few comments on here.
Yeah.
Mark White says, okay, yeah, self-care is extremely important. We got Brian Hahn. I just talked to Brian Hahn on the phone yesterday, 2 days ago. He says, UA, you want to go? Yeah, we were a UA, man. I'll be expecting that page 11 here soon. Oh, man. All right. So with that, I think we're good to bring on our next guest, man. What do you think?
Yeah.
Right.
We should do it. We should definitely do it.
Yeah.
So we got
I'll let you cover all the intros and all that.
Yeah. Not a huge intro. I'm not a big fan of 2-page essay intros like we do at promotion ceremonies and shit. But
to all who shall see these presents, greetings.
Please ensure your cell phones are turned off 2 minutes till the beginning of the ceremony. Yeah, we've got Mike here. He's with the board of directors for VetsinTech. And not only are we going to talk about VetsinTech and some opportunities that are there, as we talked about off camera before we started, that's right inside your backyard there in California. But also some California legislation that might be hampering veterans in certain ways. So we're going to talk about a few of those things, talk about maybe some transition stuff, and just nerd out on veteran stuff. That's what we do.
Oh, I love it. So with that, welcome to the Military Retirement Podcast there, Mike.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this, by the way. I think this is a great resource for the community. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Happy to have you. So let's talk about VetsinTech real quick, and just to kick things off, and what the organization is, what it does, who it's for, how it benefits people, those kind of things.
Yeah, you bet. So VetsinTech is a nonprofit. It is headquartered in San Francisco, but it has chapters all over the country. We were just talking earlier. We just stood up one in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which actually is where I was born. So it was really exciting for me to go back there and reconnect with my old stomping grounds where I used to grow up chasing lizards and the tumbleweeds and all that kind of stuff, and set up a chapter there. So it's a great organization. The mission, you know what? It's just like the name implies, right? We take veterans and we help train them and transition them into careers in the tech sector. I really like this organization. I live in Silicon Valley, basically. And so, I'm a member of that community. I'm kind of a vet in tech, myself, right? I'm not only a hair club president, I'm also a client, kind of thing. So it's a great organization. It's been meaningful. And what's really cool is a lot of the jobs that we transition these vets into, they're very high paying jobs, right? They're making, well over 100K in most instances. And I think, we're at tens of thousands of veterans that have gone through the program. So for those that, are able to go through, it's been really great. The organization focuses on what we like to call the 3 E's: education, employment, and entrepreneurship. So as I mentioned, we take veterans, and step one, we educate them in, say, some skill that they want to have to transition. John and you and I were talking about, like, cybersecurity, for example. It's a big one we'll train vets in. Employment, we'll work with some tech company, maybe it's Oracle, or maybe it's Google, or whatever, to get these veterans kind of trained and through their pipeline and into their system. And then the third is entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm actually right now in my 3rd veteran-founded tech startup, which is pretty cool. And although the downside is this one is founded by a couple of Marines, so we're still wandering and figuring out what's going on here. My first 2 were founded by Air Force guys. We were squared away from the beginning, But that's the third thing, is to train veterans into how to build or start or be a part of an early stage company as well. So it's a pretty cool program.
Interesting. And as far as VetsinTech, who is VetsinTech for? Like who would you say its primary best case user would be?
Yeah, we have some great info on this. The vast majority of our, the people that we help, the veterans we help, are prior enlisted. We do have some, kind of officers coming through as well, but it's mostly prior enlisted folks. And man, there's a huge growing, I'd say maybe one of the fastest growing groups is actually military spouses. So we opened up the program to them too, which is pretty cool. I'm sure you guys know this, your audience knows this, military members move around so much that it can be really hard for your spouse to kind of have a stable career. And so, providing them opportunities to do that is something we're pretty proud of. So those are probably the biggest cohort, right? The prior enlisted, and the fastest growing are military spouses.
Now, does your organization help with any kind of employment placement or anything like that after the fact?
Yeah, definitely. I think, our belief is to have the whole kind of pipeline covered, right? It's not, just giving the education is great. And that education is like a broad term, right? It's, it could be a certification, it could be a degree, whatever the thing is. So providing whatever it is that veteran needs to feel successful. But we want to connect, we want to kind of close that loop, right? We don't want to just give the training and then be like, have a nice life. So we really do work with these big employers to make sure that they have, spots open, they join our employment coalition, and they have, a mandate internally often to hire vets that will work with them to set up. And so we can take these vets, help them through their transition, train them. And then, there's a job, 9 times out of 10 waiting for them at the end of the pipe.
Awesome. And so is something like this in person only, or can it be like an online type of thing? Because I'm looking at the audience here, like Navy Cop MA1 mentioned, would love to see something like this local to me. Closest is Seattle, and nothing in Portland area. Yeah. So is it just online? Is it in person? Like how exactly does it work?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. There are some online opportunities. We do like in person. One of the programs we've had success with is, we will actually ask the kind of employer to host the training in their workspace, and we'll take them through. Let's just say it's, one that we used to have was very successful was with a cybersecurity company called Palo Alto Networks, and they would actually bring the veterans in, train them on their systems there, and then a big customer of Palo Alto could hire them, or that company could hire them. And it was easy because they would see them and know them and work with them every day during these trainings. So that typically works the best. We have really like the highest placement, right? With that kind of really tangible training regimen. Online does exist. We are actually in the process, a great question, we're in the process of scaling that up. We're very proud of our success numbers, right? The number of veterans that we do transition into jobs, we grade ourselves on that. And, to be honest, the online is a little bit, less effective because people kind of drop off a lot more. So the transition numbers are lower. So it's kind of a question of like, okay, do you want to spend, it's like spending a lot of resources on the in-person training, but with a high success rate, or spending lower resources on the online training with a low success rate. So we're kind of grappling that right now. But to answer your question very succinctly, like, yes, we're scaling that up, and I would just kind of stay tuned for the online courses that come available.
Yeah, and looking at the listing for the chapters across the country, I mean, let me pull it up on screen so I'm not reading to myself in a corner. Yeah. You've got places like Hunts, and it's not just, there's a lot of tech hubs in here, like Huntsville is a tech hub, of course. Austin is another big tech hub lately. Sacramento and San Francisco, of course, obviously. Washington, D.C., Jacksonville, Miami, Atlanta, Georgia, which is also an up-and-coming kind of tech hub. New York City, Salt Lake City, Nashville is another great place to have a hub or a location.
100%. And maybe I'll make one more point here. The examples that I gave were mostly kind of traditional tech, like software companies, but we have a growing opportunity in defense tech companies, which means like a lot of hardware, drone providers, satellite and space, hot industry right now. And we have some really exciting growth. A lot of that right now is in LA. Believe it or not, a lot of that's in LA, but that's a really exciting area. A lot of veterans, you can kind of continue the mission a little bit, work on defense tech after you take off the uniform. So that's one to keep an eye on too.
Yeah. Also maybe one that's, it's probably there, but I'm just spitballing off the top of my head, would be like a biotech kind of thing. Cause that Nashville is a very like medical heavy city as far as medical research and medical facilities that they built. They've really actually built up a lot of that area really nicely. And it's kind of centered around medical. So I would imagine biotech would be somewhere in that fold of technology.
Yep, it's in there. It's probably in its infancy, to be honest with us. But that's 100% right. That's an important area, and that's a great place to do it. So yeah, totally agree.
Sweet.
Mike, what are the requirements of somebody to be eligible for like the program, like VetsinTech?
You gotta. It's almost like joining the service. You got to kind of raise your hand, right? The requirements are pretty. We try to meet people where they are, right? And and find an opportunity for them, no matter where they are in life. If they have a graduate degree all the way down to, maybe they didn't even finish, high school or college. And we try to have programs that like I said, meet them where they are and provide them that opportunity. So don't let like your circumstance, if you feel like you're over or underqualified or whatever the case may be, don't let that stop you from, kind of raising your hand and trying to join the community and find an opportunity. I think having the desire, right, to transition into one of those careers is really the most important thing.
No, specifically, I'm asking because what if like we're not only a retirement podcast, we also have a lot of veterans on here or folks who have served, right? Specifically, like, do you need to have like an honorable discharge only, or yeah, you do? Okay.
No. Good question. So more technical answers. So no. In fact, we also structure this program so that you do not have to use your GI Bill. It is funded with donations like philanthropy. So you don't have to dig into your GI Bill for this. You can save it for something else, which is great. There's not really an age requirement. You don't have to be retired. I think you just have to. Like I said, we now let in military spouses too. So if you're a military spouse, you don't even technically have to be a veteran. But generally speaking, we look for people that are veterans, and we don't ask you. I mean, we don't really ask you for like your DD 214 or something like that. Maybe we should,
right.
But I don't know. I kind of feel like, look, if someone wants to, fake it and they end up getting a job, I guess like, okay, so some guy got a job and they pretended to be a veteran. Yeah. Like, I guess that's not terrible. So I'd rather let, if that ever happens, slip through rather than, putting a lot of requirements on a veteran that wants a job,
Right. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. And I'm looking at the website right now, and actually, John, can you bring up the website? And I'm looking at the events here.
Yeah. Let me get events up. All events.
Yeah.
On screen.
So a lot of cool things, man. Like VIT Intro to Python, sponsored by DraftKings. There's a lot of good stuff on here. Sacramento chapter. A lot of good things that folks can jump in on. How does that work with the DraftKings thing?
I mean, DraftKings is one of our marquee partners, right? They're actually one of our newest as well, and they've been absolutely great. And they have a variety of different programs for veterans, some online, some on person. By the way, some of these sponsors will also like put on hackathons. If you have some cool idea for some company and you want to do a hackathon, or if you want to do a pitch competition, there are really a variety of different ways to get involved. Again, from like pitching your company to trying to do an employer meetup like with DraftKings. So I think tons of opportunity. And the one that's down there at the bottom is every year, right around Veterans Day, we do a gala. It's just it's a holiday. It's kind of like a kickoff to the holiday season. And it's at the Marine Memorial Club in San Francisco. And it's a great time. It's full of, you've got like 200 vets and, tech people, and we bring in cool speakers. I think one time we had Hammer, like MC Hammer was our guest speaker. It was pretty cool. We had
from the Bay.
He's from the Bay. Yeah, he's from the Bay.
Oh
We
man,
had
hammer time. I like that.
this is a COVID year, so we did it virtually. We had Gronkowski one year, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a pretty neat event.
Gronkowski. No, that's all good, man. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of ask you a couple questions about military transition. We can dig into your military transition, but as far as folks that are actually, you have a really interesting perspective because you've got, you did one term, 2 terms, maybe 1 term, and then you decided you wanted to get out. And did you actually get out and stay in Northern California at that time, or was that a later move?
Oh man, that was later. So I joined right after 9/11. I mean, like 9/12. Did 4 years, and then when I left, as I was kind of joking around earlier, I ended up making some really bad decisions and ended up in law school, and that was actually in Washington D.C. So that took me out to the East Coast, and I did that for a while. VetsinTech didn't really exist, not really, when I got out. I wish it had. I think I might have made kind of a different choice. That being said, I think that education is a really nice bridge, right? If you can, from active duty to civilian world, because it is, as you guys know, a little bit of a shock to go from this, very structured, a little bit, like it's a thing,
just a little bit,
a little bit, and just trying to parachute into like normal civilian world and find a job, can be disorienting, right? And so,
right.
Education's a little bit structured too, right? Like you got a school, you got classes, you got a curriculum. Like it's kind of you can kind of halfway step your way into transition. So I liked it for that. That was, I would recommend that. And then after my, law school period, I ended up back in government service. So I went back into the State Department. These are all civilian positions, back in the State Department for a couple of years because I was living in DC. And then I worked in the office of the Secretary of Defense for a little while as well. So that probably would not have been possible without being a veteran too, because they have veteran hiring preferences. So, the combination of, education, GI Bill, veteran preferences, that kind of made my career arc. And then after a few years in the government, I left and moved out to Silicon Valley and became an entrepreneur, which is basically what I'm doing right now. So that again, that's one of the things I like about VetsinTech is that educational kind of bridge that I think it can be really helpful.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it's not just tied to your GI Bill or to some veterans readiness and employment program like most of us have to use and some of us have used. And we're trying to figure out how to then go beyond that. Like maybe we used it for a bachelor's degree and then we decided a couple of years later, like this is totally the wrong direction and we don't have any GI Bill left, or we don't have any, any way to really get back into, especially if it's going into tech, because a lot of people are kind of shifting towards technology. I mean, it's obvious. It's AI, it's cybersecurity, it's biomed, like we mentioned. Those kind of jobs are like really the hot topic right now in the job force, and it's obvious that people want to kind of go in that direction. But if you don't have those resources left, like I like the fact that there's organizations like VetsinTech that can go ahead and cover those costs, put you through schooling. It's just trying to make the coordination. And that's why I asked about Silicon Valley and moving back up to the northwest of California. People don't just move there randomly, right? Yeah. Most people have some kind of ambition in their mind to go do something. And unlike Los Angeles, it's usually something to do with tech or technology or computers or programming or something, some kind of startup world, because that's where the money is and that's where all the big investments are. So it's really nice.
That's the idea. I mean, again, my example, right? I had gone one way with my education and had used my GI Bill to do it. And, transitioning to tech sector, I had to reinvent myself, right? And that's where an organization like ours can be like, that's fine. We're not going to use your benefits. We have donations that will cover that extra training. That's exactly the idea.
And I like this because you don't necessarily need to come from the tech world, right? If you were doing something else in the military and you wanted to pivot into maybe getting into the tech world, I assume that Techs and Vet would be a great place to start. Um, because I mean, there's a lot of folks, I mean, including me, who uh, did something for so long, like military justice, and then I wanted to pivot into something completely different because I just didn't want to do that anymore. I was
Yeah.
done with that part of my life. Wanted to do something in counseling, but there's other folks out there. Like I was just talking to somebody here in our on our chat, Brian Hahn. He gave me a call the other day because he's pivoting. He also did military justice, but he's pivoting into an analyst position. So I'm like, hey, it's cool to pivot into something else completely different. Try something else new. And I think that, especially what VetsinTech brings, where John brought it up, you don't have to use your GI Bill or VRE. It's a funded thing. As long as you dedicate yourself to showing up and doing the thing, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
I
Mike,
think,
go ahead. Go
Go ahead. Yeah.
No,
No,
well
go
then
ahead.
maybe I'll just end with this thought then. So,
Yeah.
We know this. Not everybody outside of this, podcast or this community knows this, but veterans are already more trained than they realize in a lot of these areas, right? You already have some kind of at least basic cybersecurity knowledge just from being in the service and having to do all of that, computer-based training and all that other stuff you got to do today, right? And so a lot of these listeners are probably farther along than they think on that path if that's what they want to do. And then just speaking as an entrepreneur, I kind of, jokingly mentioned, this is my third veteran founded startup, but I really encourage veterans to think about building something yourself because, the way I look at it, to have been successful in the, modern wars, you have to be entrepreneurial, right? Small unit leadership requires it, right? One day you could be, charging a hill. The next day you're setting up a drip irrigation system in Helmand. Like you got to be flexible. You got to know how to work with, the requirements that are thrown at you. And that's entrepreneurship. So I love both of those avenues for veterans.
Yeah. And it's
Absolutely.
really, it's interesting that, again, your story is super fascinating to me because I think what a lot of us, especially in this community, in this environment that we're talking to right now, the folks that are listening, potentially watching, we're talking to folks who have been in the military for 10, 15, 20, 25, sometimes 30 years, and they get to that point of retirement and they'll probably experience it like myself. Vic has experienced this as well, where, we've been so indoctrinated with the military and the way things are and how we do things in the military. And then we get out into the outside world. Like, luckily I'm on the edge of the outside world. I'm working for the government, but not in a GS position. It's like a non-appropriated position, but so it's a little bit closer to industry and a little bit closer to like the regular civilian world, but it's still got this umbrella of military governance over the top of it. So it's probably hard for a lot of folks to think about like doing such a major pivot like this, but if they wanted to just dip their toes into it and maybe try it out or see if like, is there kind of like a gateway entry drug to get into VetsinTech where they don't have to go full in on it and they can see like maybe give a taste of how easy it could potentially be for them or how difficult it could be for them, right? So they can understand like their symmetry with the program itself.
Yeah, I love that question. The answer is absolutely yes. For those that are close to a chapter, you can just attend a chapter meetup. There's no cost to attend. You can see the people that are there. You can see what they're talking about, see if it's for you, right? That's, again, if you're close to one, that's easy. Or if there's an event coming near your, neighborhood, right, with one of these employers, again, these should be no cost to you, right? You can attend and decide if it's for you or not. I did just see a comment here about, the startup network, getting plugged into that. And I would encourage anyone who's interested in that to just, kind of follow online. But, that's a great example of, it's just, it's a network of entrepreneurs like you. And, when you get plugged in and people are building all kinds of amazing things, there are mentors there to help you, people that have built companies in the past. There are investors, veteran or, veteran friendly, either way, investors that, can, if they like your idea, invest in your company. And then there are also, customers, right? I mean, the big tech companies that do the hiring, they also could be a customer for your company. So being plugged into that ecosystem, and that's something you can kind of dip in and out. I'll give you an example. When the first company that I co-founded, we did this, right? We went through the startup network process, and I took my little, I think it was like 6-person company, 6-person cybersecurity company at the day, and went into a pitch competition with a dozen other startups. And I pitched in front of an audience of investors and customers and random audience people, and helped get word out, and that helped me get investment, which I really needed. It helped me get employees, and it helped me actually land a few accounts, a few customers. So that's a great way to plug in if you want to, kind of join that entrepreneurial community.
Yeah, and Mike, I wanted to ask, man, I wanted to kind of pivot in here because I know when we reached out to you, there was talk of a California tax cut for veterans. You mentioned you had a hand in that, man. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, thanks for raising that. So, one of these things in our work through VetsinTech that we found out, which was some ways surprising, in some ways not surprising, is that up until recently anyway, California was the only state in the country that fully taxed veterans' pensions, which is not a lot of people know that, right? Not a lot of people know that even living here, that if you're a retired vet, they tax your pensions at 100%, with no exceptions, no exemptions. It's the only state that does that. I think I learned about that, and it was surprising to me. And so we started asking around our community, and found out that this is this is an impediment to veterans wanting to move to the state. California supplies more veterans than any other state, but there's bottom of the rank people coming back because it's very expensive is a major reason. And this is kind of a cost of living issue. So we were concerned about having, veterans being able to make their home here in California if they want, and see if we can help with that. And then in talking to our employer partners, it's an employment issue for them, right? They have mandates to hire veterans in the state, and we're talking about companies like, Disney or AT&T or, Cisco or Google. These are important companies, and they want to hire veterans. And a lot of times they want to hire them in California. And this makes it harder, right? Because veterans aren't making California their home. So it was a bad kind of moral issue in my mind, and also a bad economic issue. And we figured if we can help, we'd be doing both something that's right and something that just makes good sense for the economy, right? Which is a great thing if you can do that. So we worked pretty hard on this. There was California has had a couple chances to try to pass this. And it hasn't really gotten very much traction. I mean, it's come up, every cycle and just never passes. And one of the other things we learned is that veterans just really aren't, they're not good at advocating for themselves, believe it or not. As a community, they're good at serving others. I mean, you got to talk preaching to the choir. They're good at serving others. They're good at watching out for each other. But if it's hey, this is hurting me, outside of maybe complaining about it, they don't know how to advocate, right?
Right.
And so even if everybody, you talk to every legislator in Sacramento, yeah, this is an important issue, but I'm not hearing it from the community. And so it's going to be on the back burner for me. I'm going to do something that I'm hearing about, right? And so, we worked very hard to elevate the issue, to organize veterans around the state, to organize employers around the state. And who else was incredibly helpful? Were first responders were incredibly helpful. So the cops, the firefighters, a lot of the unions, the building trades, because they have a lot of veterans in their ranks, right? A lot of veterans become firefighters, a lot of veterans become cops. Right. And they understood that this was impacting their membership, And so we put together this really, really great coalition, and got it through. So this year it actually passed, which is it's going to be good, for veterans in California to know. Like this year, first year ever, you will have a tax, exemption if you have a retirement pension in the state of California for the first time ever, which is great. It's not a full exemption; it's a partial exemption. So we have some more work to do, but the camel's nose is under the tent. We're going to get there all the way. But it's going to be it's going to put a lot of money back in the pockets of veterans here in California, which we're very proud of.
Yeah, and as I'm reading it here, it's a $20,000 exemption, looks like, on military retirement pay or survivor annuity payments from state income tax. That definitely is big. That definitely is big because a lot of folks I talk to, and well, first let me preface it with this: you're right that a lot of veterans do not advocate for themselves or know how to properly do that. There is, however, a whole lot of bitching and complaining on Facebook that I see.
Exactly.
So we do know how to do that, right?
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, that's a big thing, man. And it's a big tax cut, the 20%, the 20,000. And as I would like personally, me, as I was looking around at different states as I was going to retire, I grew up in Florida. And that was, no state income tax. I don't think they tax the military retirement pay out there. But again, my wife didn't want to move to Florida. So I'm like, how do we stay in California and make it happen out here? But they tax everything, right? So grateful that you jumped on that, man, you and your team, and you guys jumped on that to make this thing happen. Now, I would like it, and I don't know if there's any plans to do this, but I've been in contact with Senator Bob Archuleta in his office about property tax exemption for 100% military disabled veterans, because that was presented at one point and then just kind of put to the side for, I think it was 2 years for some reason. I'm still trying to get answers to that, but that would be a huge lift off of a lot of veterans' shoulders who do rate that. Is there any plans to look into that yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. We heard about that a lot. And definitely, I think that's a high interest item. Would love to see that happen. It's California. I mean, I love California, but we tend to, tax the opposite direction. Taxes go up here, not down.
That's right.
So this is, this is a fun fact. This little veteran pension tax cut, which is little in the grand scheme, but big to us, right, is the first pension tax cut of any kind in the state's history. And I think, I've been trying to research this, I think the first income tax cut of any kind ever. So when I kind of joke that this is the camel's nose under the tent, I actually kind of do mean that. Like maybe this is the start of something bigger where we can say, look, there are these other things that, you gotta make the case, like this tax cut for the state will cost $100 million in tax revenue, like off the books, but it will add 1.4 billion in gross domestic product to the state because veterans are going to stay here. And as you guys know, you retire, after 20 years, you can retire at 38, right? And start your second career and send your kids to school here and pay taxes here and start a business here. And you're giving that much more back. So we know that it's an investment. It's a little short-term hit, long-term investment. And Vic, I think the property tax is another one, right? I think, honestly, I would love to see, some similar treatment for some of our other, as I mentioned, first responders, right? I mean, we got a lot of people here who are, firefighters that just can't live in their communities where they work, right? Cops that can't live in the communities where they work.
That's
too expensive. And they do what they can and they retire and they move to Idaho. So I think, I'm hopeful that this is the start of something where we can, look at a lot more of these things as investments and make the changes that we need.
Absolutely, man. And I'm totally glad that you and your team are looking into that. I mean, if there's anything that we can do as well, I mean, let us know. I mean, if I need to jump in my car and drive up to Sacramento to jump on a podium and talk to people, that's what needs to happen. And John, we'll figure out your flight out here.
As long as it's tax free.
We had a rally actually for the pension thing. We had a rally on the steps of the Capitol, and someone said it was the first time they'd seen a veteran issue rally in Sacramento in at least 20 years, right? So back to the point about veterans, not like, yeah, sure, we kind of, bitch and complain to each other. Like I do that too, but like there's a difference between doing that and making something happen, and I think
exactly.
this is, veterans have a unique position, right? It's a beloved community, right? Everyone respects veterans, for the most part, and they're not really using their power, right? No one's going to turn away a group of veterans at their office. Nobody's going to do that. So, if you just organize a little bit, you can get a lot done.
Yeah, there is a power to people coming together and making something happen. And real quick, Brian Hahn in the chat mentioned something. San Diego County does have a discount for 100% disabled veterans on the property taxes. Yes, they do. Just make sure that anybody out there who is 100% disabled, it's not automatic. You have to actually go and bring your stuff, that VA letter, to the county assessor's office. So just FYI.
It's a great point, though.
Yeah. John, what do you got back there? You got a website up there. You're lurking.
No, I was looking on LinkedIn to see if I could pull the podcast up on LinkedIn and see if there was any missed comments. But yeah, no, I'm sitting here listening and thinking as you guys are talking about this stuff, and it's kind of, you said 20 years ago, so I would imagine even before that, right? Like probably a lot of the reason, and I'm not speculating, this isn't some kind of like Scientology class. I'm not trying to start a rumor mill, but if you look back historically, like even around the time of the Vietnam War, right? Like a lot of the lawmaking that came out of that era of our country was, probably pushed in a big part by all the war protesting going on. University students from Berkeley and all these other big universities protesting, and now those students are now our lawmakers potentially in California now, and carried a lot of that with them.
Yeah, although they do have term limits here, so most of those folks are gone. One thing I think about a lot is that we in some ways lived through a really golden era in like veteran support, across the country, from September 11th all up until, pretty much now, right? One of the things that I worry about is that now that the kind of long wars, right, in Iraq and Afghanistan are over, that, people's attention fades, right? Like they're going to move on to the next thing. And there's a lot demanding everybody's attention right now, a lot, right? Some of it good, some of it bad, but a lot. And I worry that, we're at a point where just as, veterans are going to be needing support more, right? Like we're all getting older and more broken and more issues, right? Health issues, mental issues, economic issues. They're only going to get worse for a lot of people. And at the same time, attention is going to be going away from veterans to whatever else is next because those wars are gone. So I think about that a lot. And, how can we keep that attention on the veterans? Because again, like their needs are just going to go up, right? So we got to keep the focus on them. I worry about that a lot. And I'm hopeful that we can get more, veterans obviously, squared away economically like we're doing at VetsinTech. But, I would encourage veterans to continue to seek like office, right, John, to your point. I mean, to have more and more veterans serving in public office, we'd all be better off. Not only would they know about these issues and like understand them, but you're talking about people that are dedicated to service, hopefully something bigger than themselves, and that's what you want, right? So I'm hoping that is we don't really do that at VetsinTech, but I'm hoping that's something that people do kind of for that reason.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I'm banking on Victor to take that and run with it. And
run for mayor or something.
Become the mayor of San Diego.
I've been in talks about something like that, but I just I don't know, man. I think it's not for me, dude. Like it really isn't. I mean, I do want to advocate for stuff, but I don't want to like be in that political arena. That's it. I mean, I'm a big advocate for, things veterans related. I just I again doing military justice for 20 years, having been in the well of a courtroom and just I'm done with the debates, I think. So we got a few comments on here. I'll bring up to the stage. Retro Runner Rob, how would VetsinTech be best made known to transitioning members? I recently retired and attended TAP twice with 2 different branches. And if this great opportunity was mentioned, it was very brief. So
Yeah.
I think, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, this is finding the veterans is always a little bit of a trick, right? It's not immediately, it'll make sense when I say it, but like, they're not easy to find in the crowd necessarily, right? Like, so finding them has been difficult. We are now hooked up with some of the transition assistance programs, but that took some time, right? That's kind of a bureaucratic thing that you got to get through, and it took some time, but we are now. And that should be something that is more regularly presented to the veterans. But that's a trick. Like, you know, so we're in there. We do try to do some advertising. Advertising is expensive, right? So, you know, there's not that much of that we do. You know, we'll go on podcasts like this, try to get the word out, you know, try to get the word out as much as you can, and we'll do events. But there's no magic wand. It's just kind of hard. You know, it's hard to find you know, the percentage of veterans living in a country of 400 million people. It's just hard to find them. So that's something we struggle with.
Yeah, and if I could real quick.
Go ahead, John.
Just before we go into the next question, Vic, real quick, as far as that question is concerned, does VetsinTech, I was looking through the site and I'm not 100% sure if I saw it in there, but do they have a way to connect folks a little bit easier to like SkillBridge opportunities because you're working directly with so many companies? Yep.
We're on SkillBridge. That's a part of what we do as well. So that's available. And there is also kind of an internal community, you know, once you're in the community that you can use to kind of connect with other vets as well. So both of those are also available. This is a great question. Thanks for raising that.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And then the next question we have from Navy Cop is, what is the process for possibly helping to start a chapter in our area? We have a host of veterans that need support between Washington and Oregon.
Yeah, also a great question. I mean, great communities, right? And not only do you have a lot of vets with all the military bases in the Pacific Northwest, but you got some great tech companies up there too, right? You got, you know, Intel in, you know, the Portland area, and you got, you know, Amazon and Microsoft in Washington and Seattle and a bunch of others in between. Great areas. There's nothing stopping us other than bandwidth, right? It's just, do we have enough hand raisers in that community? And if we do, we can go start a chapter. So that's it. There's no real magic to it. You know, it was probably no surprise to tell the audience here that the chapters suffered during COVID, right? We had a bunch that just kind of went away. And so we're in the process of rebuilding those and would love to have some in Oregon, Washington. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's excellent, man. It seems like you got a good group of folks here that are ready to start something.
I love it.
I know Navy Cop is working on some stuff with cyber. I'm not exactly sure, but I know he mentioned in one of the comments that he's trying to start some sort of a company. He's an entrepreneur as well. So you may have some folks out there who's ready and willing to start a chapter. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. And yeah, you know, hit me up or go on the website, whatever we can do to help. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And aside from VetsinTech, the website, is there anywhere else that we can find out more about VetsinTech?
Yeah, good question. That's really the central place. We do try to keep that updated.
Yeah.
And then, you know, keep an eye on the events page of that specifically, right? And so if there's a thing coming near you or something that's virtual that you can attend, you know, that's just a great way to listen in and see if this is for you.
Excellent.
Sorry. Is there a way to
mute, John?
Yeah. Is there a way to identify which one of these are in person or like hybrid or just online?
Yeah, I think you should be, if you like click through into them, you can see, you know, where it is. If not, we can make that clearer. But yeah, like the meetups are usually in person, for example. Yeah, if you click through, like that one says online, so that's a great example, right? That's an online one.
Yep.
And so you can zoom in or whatever from anywhere for that. And then some of the other ones will be like the gala, you know, that'll be in person in San Francisco. And so, yeah, just, you know, tool around, find one that looks good to you, click into it, see if you can make it.
Okay. Yeah, that might help a little if there was a little icon or indicator or something that just let people know if it's online or in person or hybrid.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, we can do that. I like that idea.
Too many clicks in, too many clicks in and you lose.
Yeah, because no, totally. You want to be able to look at it, right on the page. That's a good idea.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Yeah, yeah, Mike, man, I truly appreciate you, man, coming on and talking to some VetsinTech. We definitely got some good feedback and some good responses and questions from the audience. So I would expect something in your email from VetsinTech or from the audience members here pretty soon, because they're very engaged here this morning.
I love it.
But yeah, man, is there any parting words that maybe you want to leave the veterans or the audience with regarding VetsinTech or the California tax code or anything?
Yeah. Hey, look, everybody. First of all, to you guys, thanks again. This has been a great conversation. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for helping get the word out, educate and bring the community together. To everybody listening, thanks first of all for your service to the nation. And I really believe we owe something back to our veterans, and I want to continue to spend time and resources to make sure that our veterans are well taken care of. So reach out if we can be at all helpful, and we'll see if we can't find a way to work together.
Yeah, it's beautiful, awesome, man. Thank you for coming on too. We really appreciate you taking the time. I know it's a little bit of an ask to block off an hour on a Sunday, especially when time zones changed. Yeah. But it's really, really appreciated. And we're always willing to put out resources. It's one of the key things that we're trying to do, is put out as many resources as possible. So hopefully, if you're watching this, if you hear it, if you're listening, share it to somebody who may need some of this information, because this is really, really good information. It's a good opportunity if you're trying to slide into the tech field, or if you're trying to expand on your tech knowledge and get some education benefits that are not going to come out of your GI Bill or your Chapter 33 stuff.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, Mike, thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks again. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Man, a lot of great info, man. So I'm always amazed at, how many nonprofits, how many organizations are out there that we really don't know about until we book them on the show, we talk about it, or maybe one of our audience members or somebody emails us about it. They're like, hey, have you guys seen this one? Have you guys seen that one? I'm like, well, I didn't know that existed. That's cool. And I love that we're highlighting these things on the podcast, and people are getting to know them. I mean, we had a lot of good responses from the audience here, man. Yeah. And it looks like some folks are ready and willing and able to start something with VetsinTech.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if Navy Cop could link up with Mike and you guys could get something going as far as setting up a chapter in that area, because I know Navy Cop has been itching. Like, we've been talking to him for how long? A year at least, maybe longer.
Yeah. He's been a faithful audience member, a faithful friend to the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. One of the triggers for the website. Yeah. So that's it's good. And that's I love this. I love the serendipity of it, how we're able to connect people together. And this is the whole point, like, to get the info in the hands of people who need it, and make the connections so people can go on and do really good stuff. I can't wait to see if that happens.
Yeah. And he says he already sent a message to them through their website.
All right,
so Mike, if you're listening, man, you got email, dude.
Balls in your court, brother.
You got stuff to read. No, awesome, man. So yeah, we got a lot of good guests coming up in the next few weeks, man. I know, John, man, you've been hard at work booking folks. I've been kind of talking to folks, and I got another one that we'll talk about offline. It should be pretty good. If you watch Netflix at all recently, you may know who I'm talking about, but we'll talk about it here soon, John.
Yeah, I've been bugging shit out of people. I'm like Sheldon in Big Bang Theory. I'm like, hello.
Oh man, they're like, damn it. Let's just go on the show. John's bugging the hell out of us, No, all good. Yeah, man. It's great to connect, man. And again, I just want to give a shout out to the Veterans Coffee Connection from LinkedIn. This guy Pedro, he runs a tight group, I had the honor and privilege of jumping on there and speaking with active duty service members who are about to transition out, who don't know exactly where to begin when it comes to it, who are afraid of taking the pivot from what they've done. I spoke to one lady who is in the Air Force, and she's a logistician, and she just didn't know about making the pivot to something different. She's like, this is all I know, and I just don't feel comfortable with doing something outside of that. And there's also a beauty in starting something new, a second chapter. Something you don't know, because you have the time, hopefully you have like the financial cushion and the effort to do something new. So if you set yourself up right, but she wanted to get into something like technology based, I believe, and which is different from logistics, right? Working in a warehouse, or she was running a warehouse in the Air Force. But yeah, that's what terminal leave is for too. That's what SkillBridge is for too. Just take that time, see if something works out for you. If it doesn't, then move on to something else. That's the beauty about getting out and having that cushion and doing something that maybe you are afraid of, or you don't know too much about. Get the education and try it out.
Yeah, and that's it's also a good reason to take that last year, that last 2 years. We've started to mention it a little bit more here in some of our interviews and some of our conversations, but taking off that last year or 2 years and really kind of passing the torch to your predecessors, and not just throwing them all your stuff and being like, okay, here's my stuff, go ahead and run with it. Like, set them up, prepare them, get some stuff put together, get your little smart book put together so you can hand off some quality information to the next person coming in behind you if you're transitioning out of the military, even if you're not retiring. But then taking that last year, so setting yourself up to be able to take that last year or whatever, the last 6 months, that you can actually start to focus on what it is you want to do once you get out on the other side, and give yourself as much runway as possible. Like, seriously.
Yeah. And the conversation came up about taking a pay cut. So people were not, they didn't want to, a few folks that we talked to, they're like, hey, I don't feel comfortable. They have an established lifestyle while they're in the military. I don't feel comfortable taking a pay cut. They want to jump right into 6-figure positions.
Yeah.
And my response to that was, it's okay to take a pay cut, even temporarily, if it means you're getting your foot in the door somewhere and you're learning. So I've done it, and I've learned, and I bloomed where I was planted at that point. So it's okay to take a pay cut. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, man. I mean, all they got to do is really just go pick up this book and read a couple of chapters, and they'll be set up for a lot of stuff that we're talking about.
If you want to learn, if you want to know what we learned when we were leaving the military and what we wish we knew, pick up the book on Amazon. John and I co-wrote the book called Bottom Line Up Front, What You Need to Know When You're Leaving the Military, 10 short chapters on what we wish we knew and what we learned when we were leaving the military. And of course, we always, people reach out to us, tell us, hey, look, can you add this in the second chapter or the second iteration of the book? I'm like, yeah, of course we can, so we're completely open. Military retirement financial planning. Yes. It's a big thing. It's a thing. It's a thing, man. It's a thing. If you're dual military, you got it made. You just have to learn how to figure that piece out. Live off of one salary. And then just pocket the other one, or just put everything away in investments or savings. It's gonna be, it'll be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
All right, man. Let's see what else. Yeah, just if you like,
did you want to go over real quick some updates? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man. Did you want to go over some updates real quick on the week? I got them open.
Sure, let's do that.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. What was that? I saw somebody put something up on here. The live stream podcast has been my best resource. Actually, let me put it up on there. It's been my best source of retirement and veteran information. I've learned about a new benefit or opportunity from every episode. Thank you all for all what you do, gentlemen. Hey, Retro Runner Rob, man, we truly appreciate you coming on, and that's all we're about, man. It's connecting with veterans and connecting them to things that maybe we're also learning about that we want to let the community know about as well. Good morning to Mo Perspective. Welcome to the podcast. So first off, actually, I'll bring it up on here on the. This is always fun. Share screen. Okay, so this one was a big one, and I know a few of the channels out there put this one up. The U.S. courts reject Trump officials' effort to delay rulings on veteran benefits. Okay, so there's a panel of 9 federal judges. They unanimously rejected the Trump administration's request to pause thousands of veterans' disability appeals during the government shutdown. The U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims called it an extreme request and said that the VA hadn't shown that such a sweeping delay was justified. The move came after VA Secretary Doug Collins asked the court to halt work on nearly every pending case until the shutdown ended, the government shutdown. Cases involving veterans who say they were wrongly denied benefits for injuries and illnesses tied to their service. And then Chief Judge Michael Allen led the decision, writing that pausing VA's deadlines in nearly every case before the court is a significant and extreme request. There was a gentleman named Paul Sullivan, who is a Gulf War veteran and vice chair for Veterans for Common Sense, that said some of those veterans have already waited 10, 20, 50 years for the VA, for the law and for science to allow them to file claims for toxic exposure like Agent Orange and burn pits. If the VA had prevailed, these veterans could have faced indefinite delays for their benefits and in some cases their care. So that's that one. So it sounds like a win for veterans. And I don't know what this website is doing, but there you go.
Doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see what else we got going on here. What's the other one I got? There was a judge that ordered military schools to restore banned books like the Dodea schools.
Mhm.
Says a federal judge had ordered Department of Defense schools worldwide to restore dozens of books that were banned or removed from school libraries earlier this year. The ruling came after educators, parents, and free speech advocates sued the Pentagon for what they called unconstitutional censorship. Let me see. Oh, a big one here in California. It was this one's kind of so a lot of the I-5 here was shut down for a little bit. Right?
Okay.
I'm not too far from the I-5, right? That's by Camp Pendleton. So they had an exhibition there at some point over by Del Mar, which was like an area by Camp Pendleton. Yep. It's on the base. It's called like Camp Del Mar, right? Marines had fired 30 100-pound artillery shells over the I-5 without warning to commuters, right? So these are shells. This is ammo coming for a howitzer, and
right.
Howitzers are immense. You know, they shoot. I don't know where they were shooting exactly, but there's photos of shrapnel landing on cars, landing on like pieces of metal, landing on motorcycles and cars. And so they did it for 2 days. The first one was on Friday, second one Saturday, and the one on Saturday is when they actually closed down. They shut down the I-5. So it was kind of like everybody coming home from work. It was like at 5:30. It was like a standstill. People couldn't move or anything like that. And they had signs up on the highway that says warning live fire over highway. So that was a crazy one. And then lawmakers are demanding answers from the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, wanting to know who approved firing over a major highway and why the public wasn't warned. The vice president was also at Camp Pendleton as well, watching all that. So I'm curious to know, because a lot of folks over here, I mean, it was on the news, right? They're like, oh yeah, I-5 backed up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't have to take the I-5 anywhere, right? But I just know it's nearby. Thankfully, I don't have to take it. But I mean, I guess the closest I come to it is, driving by base and seeing like the jets flying over.
Yeah.
They're not dropping shrapnel on me. That's crazy, man. To be sitting there and shrapnel's falling. Come on now.
Yep.
Let me see. Oh, your average logical thinker, more perspective. All right. Any updates on the retirees contributing to TSP? And
Yep.
oh yeah.
I got you.
You got okay.
So it hasn't moved anywhere. We have added one co-sponsor, so the total number of co-sponsors is 10 right now. The newest co-sponsor is Republican Corey Mills from Florida. So they got 10 total sponsors for the bill, but it hasn't moved anywhere past just being introduced around and getting some sponsorship and some people behind it. Still sitting there.
Yeah. No, Hey, Mo, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something I'm keeping that on my radar. It's like I have all these logbooks, and it's like, and I got to tab these things out, man. I got to do a better job. But that would be huge for retirees, for veterans to be able to continue to contribute to TSP, and just max it out. What's the max out point? Like 24,000 or something?
I have no idea.
A year,
something like that. Yep.
Imagine maxing that out. C fund, S fund, whatever you got, I fund, and that thing just keeps going up. Imagine that. That's great.
Yeah.
I would love that. But yeah, it looks like still introduced at a standstill, huh?
Yep.
Might be the Forward Act.
I'm tracking it every single day.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
You write that down, the Forward Act.
It's a weird thing for me to be doing, but that's what I'm doing. It's HR 4996 is what it is. Forward Act. I'll put it back on screen so you can grab it. In the meantime, if anybody didn't know, they just did the AUSA conference, which is the big conference for the Army that they do in Washington, D.C. every year. And they had a NCO working group come together, and that's usually a bad thing to hear, but a bunch of senior NCOs from the Army are trying to sit down and figure out how to restructure some of the moves for active duty folks who are getting moved every 3 years and potentially want to stay on station 3, 4, 5, 6 years or whatever. So they're taking the approach of looking at it from the MOSs versus just doing a blanket kind of like everybody will move every 3 years, except for like the exceptions, of course, for like high school stabilization, things like that. But they're actually looking into that to see if there are some MOS groups that may or may not be better off staying on station for 4, 5, 6 years so they could become really good experts in their field rather than just uprooting and then moving to another organization trying to start from scratch doing the same job. So just one of the highlights out of the AUSA conference that happened just recently.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, man. Got another one here real quick. I'll bring it up to the screen. It is the cost of living boost for veterans and military. See, that was another big one that recently came out. The COLA boost announced for veterans and retirees. 2026 cost of living adjustment is officially set and bringing a little extra money back to your paychecks. Starting January 2026, military retirees, VA, disability recipients, and survivors will see a 2.6% increase in their payments. Let me see. It's not that big, but I mean, you remember there was like an 8% jump at one point and like a 3% jump a few years ago.
Yep.
2.6 isn't that much, but I mean, it helps with the rising costs. Like, for example, and I'm not trying to do math in public. This is straight from one of the websites out there. A military retiree who receives about $2,500 in retired pay will see a COLA increase of about $70 a month. A veteran receiving about $1,500 per month in benefits, the increase would be about $42 in 2026. So just keep track of the Veterans Compensation Cost of Living Adjustment Act, and get what you've earned. Get what you've earned. That's coming up January 2026. You'll see the boost.
Yeah, and that cost of living thing. Hopefully, we're waiting patiently. I don't want to put it out there too soon, but we're waiting patiently to get some expert advice on some of that cost of living COLA info, especially when it comes to military retirement. So more to come on that. Stay tuned. But something is definitely in the works. Something is brewing in the background.
Yeah. And then let me see. Somebody had something on here. Navy cop. I thought it was 2.8, or is that just for disability pay? Hey, man, what I'm reading is 2.6. I will check on that and correct myself accordingly if I'm wrong. But thank you for keeping me honest there, Navy cop. It may very well be 2.6. Maybe the sixes look like eights to me. Maybe I'm just getting old and I can't read well. But yeah, I'll put out that good information there.
Got tinnitus of the eyeballs.
What's that?
I said we got tinnitus of the eyeballs.
Tinnitus, yeah, E on the eyeballs.
E.
That's it. That's it.
Excellent.
Let's see here. What else we got? Contribution limits. Oh, okay. Brian Hahn. Yeah, he did a white paper on advantages of homesteading in the Marines. I think it would be a good thing, man. Well, I'll put it this way. I knew a guy, he was an E9, a master gunnery sergeant, who had been on the West Coast his entire career. And I was surprised, while I was still in uniform about 2 years ago when I was sitting in my office, he came in one time and I'm like, hey man, where have you been? He was already retired for several years, right? 5 years, 10 years, something. I'm like, where have you been stationed? He's like, dude, I've never left the West Coast. He's like, I've been able to like homestead. I'm like, how? That was severely looked down upon. Like if you can homestead, but now it makes sense, right? Like when you're getting your groove, it's usually every 3 years you're moving.
No.
But usually about 3 years, like you get to know all your contacts. You got a good groove going, right? You know the work, the people, everything. And what's that?
How does one actually grow free range crayons when homesteading?
Exactly.
That's an excellent question.
Exactly. So and the thing is you can't, because it takes more than 3 years to grow a crayon. So, I need my little crayons to flourish, to bloom where they're planted.
Right.
So that's the thing. But keeping somebody there for maybe 5 years, 10 years is way too long. I think 5 years would be a good amount. That way, I think it would cut down on costs of PCSs, DoD wide, and you're getting a more knowledgeable force. I think because there's what's the word I'm looking for? A continuity of knowledge, of experience, and just knowing what you're doing. Like just when I'm getting my groove, I got to do a turnover with this other guy. And I'm like, well, here's all your contacts. Here's the SOP, go out and do great things. Well, 3 years is way too short.
No.
Okay. He said once per enlistment was his main point. Okay. I mean, that's what, 4 years, right?
Yeah. Generally speaking.
But what about officers? Officers don't enlist. So what happens? 20 years in one spot? Oh man. But yeah, man, all good things coming out. We're all about keeping you updated on everything going on. I think it was last week we had what's that gentleman's name? Hellfish Haven on the show last week. He jumped on right after you jumped off there, John, because I know it was getting late. It wasn't on a Sunday, it was during the week. I just randomly wanted to do a show, but he jumped on. We talked for about 10 minutes, what he's doing, where he is, doing good stuff. So we got to get the word out on his organization and all that in Hellfish Haven. So very good stuff. And I know we can lock him in for a longer episode to talk and to BS, to drink some coffee and do whatever we're doing. So so shout out to Hellfish Haven for jumping on and making that happen, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, super cool.
Really appreciate it. Yeah, it is. So let me see. Actually, I'm trying to keep up with these comments, man. These guys, Navy cop's fingers must be on fire there. Actually knew a Navy machinist mate, engineer, homestead, and see no sea time here in Washington. Dude was a unicorn. It sounds like a unicorn. No sea time. How are you a sailor? You don't even see the sea.
See it from the
Oh,
shore.
man. I guess so. Same way you got Marines who go to swim call and don't know how to swim. You know, they got to learn. they sink like rocks. You see Brian Hahn, officers don't count. Well, yeah. We count for something. We don't recognize him. No, all good. So yeah, thank you all for joining us on the show. We're going to continue bringing good content and good guests on the show. We really enjoy what we do. If you want more information, you can hit us up on the military, or is it militaryretirementpodcast.com?
Yep.
And yeah, it's got all the information on there. It's got, oh, I like the banner at the bottom, huh? We're just like looking up at the sky.
Yeah. Nice, huh? Yeah.
like
Also
that.
added
That's a new
a
one.
coffee button if you want to give us a coffee. We're happy to take free coffees all day long.
Yeah, man, this stuff is expensive, man.
Yeah, and also something real quick on this. I saw some comments in some of the videos on the Space A stuff, and somebody had asked a really, really great question about ground transportation once you get to your destination, or if you're traveling from Space A port to Space A port and you're looking for ground transportation. I was like, that's a great question. So I went and did a little bit of research, and I threw together a little bit. I'm still working on it, but threw together some resources here for folks. So if you're looking for shuttle or whatever, you can just go here to the top of Military Retirement Podcast, click the Space A link, and there'll be like a little database of information, and get the terminal number, what kind of transportation it is, the transportation number, and then it'll give you like a little note of, and a lot of these could be accessed through the AMC Gram. If you want to just go and look real quick, you can go to the AMC Gram for any of these terminal locations, so you can get the most up-to-date information. But I just was trying to do a little research and put something together really quick, because I really like that comment. It was a great comment.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, man. That would be something great for another episode. But when I was this past summer, when I was looking at doing some Space A travel, that was one of the biggest things, is once you hit ground, like we can go anywhere, right? I'm looking at the AMCs and all that stuff. Like, hey, we can go there was some to Guam. I'm like, I don't know anything about Guam, never been out there. But what happens when we hit ground, right? The flight is almost free. That's cool. But then you got to think about hotel. You got to think about transportation. You know, do I rent something? Do I just take Ubers? Do they have Ubers? You know, you got to figure all that stuff out. You know, the flight is just a portion of it. And that kind of, you know, it's an adventure, but the other part of it, the other pieces of finding a hotel, that kind of puts more pressure on you.
Yep.
You know, so if there was a way to figure that part out, that'd be awesome. So more to come on that one. I'm in talks with somebody about this stuff, and we will see if something else comes out of this. But again, a conversation for another time. If you all want to reach out to us, info@Military Retirement Podcast. That is where you can reach both John and I. My own personal email is thegreenlogbook@gmail.com. You can hit me up there if you want something. I don't know, be on the podcast, maybe ask a question, whatever, anything, whatever. I get some weird emails, dude. I put out the email on here, and I get some weird freaking emails, dude. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So, yeah, there you go. The Green Logbook. Looking at, I don't know what I'm staring at there.
Staring into the future.
Looking into my future hopes and dreams or something. But yeah, the Green Logbook, my own personal YouTube channel on there, and the website, thegreenlogbook.com. Just hit 7,000 subs on that one. So that thing is growing.
666.
Yeah, so it's going somewhere. We'll see. By the end of the year, I think the goal for that one is 10,000 hopefully by the end of the year. We'll see if it'll happen. pushing towards it. But yeah, aside from that, reach out to us in the Military Retirement Group on Facebook, about 2,700 strong. Just added 3 more people, and I think I got like 5 more in the chute to approve on there. As you can see, we have a whole ton of information on there. Somebody just added a question about SSDI and VA disability on there. So that's something we have to answer and potentially bring up on the next show, on the next podcast show, because that is, if you rate VA disability, most likely you rate SSDI as well. And for the most part, I don't think you have to wait until you're 62 to receive that if you have that kind of disability. If it hinders you for a year or more, or will likely cause more issues than not. Some more info to come on that one. Yeah.
And
But aside from that, yeah,
if
go ahead.
you're trying to get into the Facebook military retirement group on Facebook, make sure you fill out the, like, if you could please, would be really helpful. So we don't have to like trying to, assume if you are military related or not. Just fill out the little questions on there. It's like 3 or 4 questions. Really quick, really easy. If you don't want to give us your email, it's fine as well. You don't have to do that, but at least fill out like service orientation and MOS and that kind of stuff, so we can have a little bit better understanding of who you are.
Yeah, I do make sure that these folks who are coming on are veterans. Some people slip through the cracks, and I have to like kick them off because I know that they're not veterans after seeing what they post. But for the most part, like 99% of these folks are actual veterans and not bots. So I make sure I go to the profiles and just check them out. Make sure there's some kind of military affiliation with all that. Because I hate going to these groups and it's just people trying to sell you stuff and it's just a bunch of bots and stuff. That's not what I want the military retirement group to be. So that's what it is. Aside from that, thank you all for listening, staying with us, and hearing our mouths run. Join us next week. Same time. Well, is it going to be same time? I don't know. There's going to be a time change, isn't there?
It might be a time change next week. I'm not sure, but we're booked for 8 a.m. on your time. So
Okay,
whatever that happens.
Perfect. So we will be,
an hour
spring
earlier.
forward, fall back. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. More to come. Just check out the channels and see when we're going to be on here. So, but for the most part, 8 a.m. But with that, thank you all for staying with us. We really appreciate it. And out here.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.